Hey, and welcome back to PewDiePie. I'm Mike Dean. He's Football Joe Bell. And we are going to talk about the Miami game, which we won 17-13.
Really? Did we win?
Yes, we did.
We did win.
It was 17-13. It was on the scoreboard.
It was 17-13.
It was on the scoreboard.
It didn't feel like we won.
Yes.
It was such a, I don't know.
It was,
you don't normally have games like that where it's just blah.
It was quite boring, to be honest with you, in the second half, especially.
Which is kind of Tampa's way to play. They actually played very well on defense. Very beginning of the game, a 60-yard pass to Brandon Marshall. E.J. Biggers got burnt.
Yep. Well, 7-0, and less than 3 minutes to go in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about Josh Freeman, because that's the big hubbub right now with how he played. I mean, he was 12 of 23, 149 yards. He did have 17 yards rushing, but I thought he made up for it at the end of this first half.
He did have a 38-yard run that got called back because of holding.
Well, yeah, but that's penalties were we had 15 from penalties for
135 yards in penalties, Tampa. And that's like 2 weeks in a row. They had 120-some yards last week.
Yeah, that's a cause for concern.
Penalties is a huge problem for Tampa. Josh Freeman, he had a bad game. He overthrew everybody. Yeah. He was mad at himself. He kicked his helmet. You know, and he's mad. He's a good kid. He was off. He's been off for 2 weeks. A little bit of concern, maybe, but we're not going to see him next week much. So he's ready. I think he's ready for the season. You know, it's preseason.
I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. I mean, it was starters against the starters. He didn't look good, but he made some good decisions. Now, he did have 2 interceptions dropped. Now, that would have given him 2 INTs.
And he did not look good. He just didn't look good. I was not.
I thought he overcame that though, and he came back and he said, "Okay, let's do this." Okay, because when the E.J. Biggers, he caused the fumble in the first half against Brandon Marshall. Basically, came back and punched the ball back. Gave the ball to the Bucks. Basically, 3 minutes left to go.
Yep.
And he drives them down there, and they can score. So
well, here's what I saw good in the whole game, really, for Tampa. The defensive line. They were incredible the whole game. Actually, from start to finish, they didn't cause that breakdown by E.J. Biggers. The defensive line did a good job in pressure all night. 5 sacks, 5 different people.
Right.
Bowers had his first sack of the preseason. Looked great. As a group, they looked good. Good enough to where they don't know who they're going to cut.
That's true.
That's a good thing.
Yep.
LeGarrette Blount, he didn't run really well, but again, the offensive line's still shaky.
There was no holes. I mean,
but he had 3 receptions for 62 yards. That's a big deal. He did not do that last year. He got in the open field on 1 run, and when he was running full speed ahead, they were almost moving out of the way.
Nobody wants to tackle him.
I mean, I couldn't believe they're like, is he going to jump over my head? Am I going to try and get him low because he weighs 300 pounds and he's coming right at me?
Exactly.
Rudy Carpenter, you said, he had a great finish of the game. I really think he should be the backup quarterback because that's the kind of quarterback Tampa needs to use.
Right.
But they're not going to. Josh Johnson's going to get to play because they're going to use him in the Wildcat, and he did a good job at that.
Well, Josh Johnson also is a really good trade bait for next year, so if they get some kind of play time. So, that's what we're going to see in Washington. We'll talk about the next segment.
And then I think the biggest news of the night, right before the game started, Mark Dominic came out, did a press conference with everybody, and said Aqib Talib is not being suspended. And last week, and on our PewDiePie site and on the blogs, I've been complaining and giving it crap about why would they fine him? Why would they do anything? Because he's not guilty yet. He's actually innocent. His court date's not until March.
Yep.
So you can't really do anything to him.
He was meeting with Goodell, and Kenny Britt was meeting him, and he didn't give either of them.
Yeah, neither one of them. So maybe he's softening up a little bit because he found out last year that the players really were not happy with how heavy-handed he was. Now, there's some people that deserved it. Roethlisberger deserved to get what he got.
Right.
And some do deserve it.
I agree with that.
But some don't. Now if he is found guilty, they're going to run him out of the league for a year or so, and he's probably going to go to jail.
Right.
And we're going to talk about that too. Cedric goes to jail, so we'll talk about that too. That's like my new little movie. Cedric goes to jail. So we'll talk about that too later. But
let's get to the Bucs cuts.
Let's get to the cuts. The cuts happened earlier in the week.
They brought down to the.
I actually have those written down.
10 cuts.
So do you?
It's right up there.
They're right on the screen. Ashton Ubuti, who I knew was going to get cut. You didn't know that. Well, we actually circled who we thought was going to get cut.
Yeah, we did.
We circled like 25 or 26 players over the next 2 cuts.
Joe got them all right.
I got all 10.
I missed 3. I didn't pick out Ubuti because I thought they brought him in late, so I thought maybe they'd keep him.
He was there for a body.
Yeah.
And none of these players were unexpected. I mean, the punter, Rob Malone, they brought in a $19 million punter. He's going to be the starter.
Right.
Everybody else on that list is going to go. Now, again, September 23rd, which is the end of this weekend, they are going on Saturday. They're going to cut to 53. That's going to be difficult.
Clean house right there.
Because, I mean, I'm telling you, they've got some good, and it was funny because we were at the game, and there was a lot of coaching staffs from other teams.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, Dallas, Colts. They were all there watching how they played, but they were looking at the players that were going to cut.
Right.
Tampa has a huge youth movement of players that are good football players.
Well, if you figure that they're going to keep 43 to 48 that already got their spots secured, okay? So there's a 5 or 10 people that are going to be making this team that normally wouldn't.
Correct.
That's a hard decision to make.
What do you do? Defensive line and defensive ends, they have every one of them could be a starter or a backup on any team.
Right.
So now they've got more than they know what to do with. Last year it was a weakness. This year it's an abundance. So what do you do?
Well, I mean, I personally think that Morris is going to keep that defensive line intact because it's such a good way to rotate those guys in, and they're building a really cohesive unit there. Looking at tight ends, cornerbacks,
there's just a lot of positions they need work with, and we're going to talk about that when we talk about Washington at the next segment too. A little bit about what this game means, because this is really a non-existent game for starters.
It's ridiculous.
They may play for a minute, but that's about all they're going to play.
But it's good for the coaching staff to be able to see those third, fourth tier people.
They need to decide right now. And unfortunately, these guys, this is it. This is your chance to shine. You don't shine, you're gone. And if you don't shine well enough for another team, you're not going to play on any team.
And normally, this is where they're going to make the team. And this is the team. These players are going to make this team. And if somebody gets hurt, they need to step up. So they're going to have to make a real hard decision here. The coaching staff.
I wouldn't want to be them.
I don't want to be them at all.
But we're going to come back. We're going to talk about what's going to happen during the Washington game. Right. We're going to talk about fantasy football. That's my next segment. I have such a soapbox about fantasy football. So don't go away. Come right back. Fantasy football, Washington Redskins.